Welcome to another episode of the S.E.M podcast. Jack Bryce and Zach Hewlett are back after somewhat of a hiatus. We just started our season 3 of this. Can't believe we've been doing this longer than we were serving as full-time missionaries, but here we are.
That's right.
This is incredible. And we had Joe Drewery. I don't think I said that right, Joe. Did I?
No. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Drewery. Yeah.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you for joining us. Thank you for getting back to us. For anybody who's out there listening, look in your inbox. You've got something from Zach. I guarantee it.
True.
You can reach out and come back on. We're going to get back into this again here for season 3. We're going to do another, 100 episodes or so. And so, Joe, tell us where you're at right now.
Well, currently I'm in my parents' house because my house is too noisy to record a podcast. But I'm from Norfolk in England. So that's on the east coast of England. It's like the backside of England. There's the bump that sticks out on the right-hand side. So
nice.
Great. Well, thank you for making the time for us. And we start out with, leading up to finding out you're going to Scotland and what that was like. Any backstory to the mission? Then we'll skip over. We want to know what you've been up to since you got home. And then we'll go back and talk through the mission. So start us out with how you ended up in Scotland.
Yeah, so I was called to the Scotland Island mission. I got called. I started in September 2010. So leading up to that date, I put my papers in and just constantly waiting for the postman to come. It was in the summer. It was August time. We had a deacon camp, and I was a leader at that time. And so I went to deacon's camp, and I just had a feeling I was there. So I checked the phone periodically during the camp, text my mum to see if it came in the post. And of course it came one day. And so me and my mate, Frankie, we jumped in my car. The journey usually takes about an hour and 15 minutes. I think we got home in about 45 minutes to get the call. Then opened up the call. My mum had a friend around. My sister was at EFY at the time, so she was on the phone. My dad came back from work, opened it up and read Scotland Island, and my heart kind of dropped a little bit. I was like, oh, that's just up the road, very far. Think of all these places I could go, Australia, America, Africa, and I get Scotland and Ireland. I was like, oh man. So at first I wasn't too thrilled. And as you do, the family guess where you're going to go before you get your call. And my granddad, Scotland, and our prize was a Mars bar. So he won the Mars bar. To get that right.
That's a good one.
It wasn't a deep fried Mars bar. It was just a normal Mars bar at the time. So yeah, got the call. Initially disappointed, but then I thought about it and thought, yeah, it could be good fun. And yeah, so that's my story, getting the call. And after the mission, so I got home in August 2012. And then got married in December 2012.
Wow.
So pretty quick.
Was there someone waiting on you?
Yeah, we'll probably jump into that a little bit in more detail later on. But yeah, so my wife, Katie, she waited for me for the 2 years faithfully. So yeah, we were keen to get married as soon as possible. We were actually engaged technically on my mission, so I asked her to marry me beforehand just to keep her there waiting.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's not your typical Mormon or LDS engagement time frame. That's abnormal.
No, it was a shock to most elders and sisters when I told them on the mission. I had a ring, but it was too big. I never wore it. But yeah, so we were engaged on the mission. Got married in December. Now have 4 boys. The eldest is he's now, how old is he? He's 11, just turned 11. And then we've got nearly a 9-year-old in a couple of weeks. He'll be 9. And then a 4-year-old sorry, a 6-year-old, then a 4-year-old. So 4 boys: Oscar, Jake, Riley, and Cruz. And yeah, so that's why I'm here at my parents' house, because it's bedtime, and that's a bit crazy when it's bedtime. So bit more peaceful around here. So yeah, life is a bit manic with the boys. All good fun though. And yeah, and then so a bit about what I'm doing. I work as a building surveyor. I did actually. So I came back. Rewind. Went to uni. Went to uni in Coventry for 3 years, studying building surveying. Came back home and got a job not doing building surveying, something slightly different, for a couple of years. And then I worked with my dad for about 6 years, buying, selling houses and land, and developing land. And then had this itch in the back of my mind that I actually studied building surveying and haven't actually had a job in it, like 9 years later. So 2 years ago, I changed careers and now doing building surveying, which is going good. I'm enjoying it. It was a bit of a steep jump, but a well worth it one.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's kind of career, family. Church-wise, I'm currently serving as a bishop in my home ward in Galston, which is good and bad. Nah, it's mostly good. It's hard sometimes. So I've been doing that for 2 years. I actually got my call to be a bishop on my birthday. I got called to see the stake president on the Sunday. I then started my new job on the Monday after that Sunday. And then I
Oh
was
my goodness.
set apart as the bishop on the following Sunday. So it was a very busy week, a lot of change, a lot of scary change. But yeah, it's been great. One of my counsellors, who's been there from day one, he served in the Scotland Edinburgh mission and Scotland Island mission as well, Ian Felton. So he's my first counsellor. So it's pretty cool.
We'll shout Ian out. He's reached out and is willing to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll get him on the schedule here very soon. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I told him I was coming on. I said, you got to go on. So I'd love to hear his stories.
Cool.
Ian's a great guy.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we often wear our mission ties together on up there on the stand, which is good fun. I wore mine today actually. So yeah,
Nice.
I always like to rep the tie.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's in summary, that's before and after the mission.
Yeah, it sounds like you're super bored right now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, extra gratitude for you making the time to do this with all of that going on, man. That's wild. That's great. It's good to be busy with good things. So
Great.
Excellent. Why don't you take us back now? We'll start MTC. We'll just kind of go through areas, companions. It's however you want to roll. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, MTC, obviously went to Preston MTC. Drove up there with my parents, stayed the night before in a hotel. And in the morning of going to the MTC, we went to the Preston Temple, did a session there, which was nice. And that morning, I finished reading the Book of Mormon for the first time ever. I finished the last couple of chapters before I got into the MTC. That was my goal, and I did it on the morning of going in. So yeah,
good job.
That's how goals work.
Yeah. Last minute, that's all right.
That's right.
I achieved it. Yeah, got in the MTC. Yeah, it was good fun. My companion was Elder Porter from Canada. He served in the Leeds mission, so that was so I didn't get to see him afterwards. But yeah, had a good time with him. Really enjoyed serving the MTC with Elder Porter. Lost contact recently, but we did keep contact a little bit. But yeah, there's a good bunch of guys, elders and sisters in the MTC. I think we had about 10 or 11 of us that were going to the Scotland Island mission at the time. So yeah, my memories from the MTC was that we were always tired. It was always really warm in the classrooms and struggling to stay awake. I was reading my diaries in preparation for this, and yeah, that was literally page after page of nearly fell asleep. Lots of food, lots of toast. Don't know where so much toast, but we had lots of toast in the MTC. And I have mixed feelings about the MTC. I enjoyed it, but then I felt like a caged animal at times. I wanted to just get out, and they wouldn't let us on the field, like on the P day or exercise, because it was a little bit damp, and they were worried we're going to slip over and hurt ourselves. I was like, we're 19 years. I know we're still young, but come on. So that frustrated me, not getting out too much. But we did eventually play a bit of ultimate frisbee and football and whatnot. We unfortunately couldn't go on the church history tour because there was a big accident apparently on the motorway, and so again that added to the feeling like a caged animal because we weren't allowed out. But we did get out to do the street contact in Manchester, which was good fun. Very nerve-wracking, as I'm sure you probably remember if you did that when you were there for the first time.
I don't remember that. I remember doing like a couple of streets nearby the MTC, but not like full-fledged into Manchester. Yeah,
jumped on the train, dropped us off in the center of Manchester. I don't know Manchester, but we were there. Yeah, and then we did go door knocking as well. We did go knocking on doors on some streets and had a great conversation with this guy out on there on his driveway, just getting out of his car. I was like, oh, this is going really well. Like, oh, he's asking some good questions. Good, yeah. Getting into the rhythm of things. And then he's like, I can't do it anymore, elders. I'm a member of the ward. He was actually the ward mission leader as well. I can't remember his name, but he invited us in. We had a drink and something to eat, I think, and then he sent us on our way. But yeah, I thought this is easy. And nice. Yeah, he was a member. I think that was the MTC. What else from the MTC? I just remember having a load of fun, good fun with the elders and sisters there. Actually, it's one experience. It's kind of like on the spiritual side of things. There was one night when I was in bed and just couldn't sleep, and just really uncomfortable, and I felt like this kind of darkness upon me. It's like, and then you hear, the Joseph Smith story, goes into the forest to pray, and it's that darkness. I thought, oh, I'm not comparing myself to Joseph Smith by any means, but I felt this kind of darkness over me, really uneasy, and I can't remember if I was struggling at the time, but it was very, very palpable. Like you could feel something, and I said a prayer, still just laying in bed, and that feeling went. And I took that as actually encouragement, because I felt that's maybe Satan trying to, get at me early. Like, you don't want to do this, 2 years in Scotland Island, you don't even want to go, so I felt there was a bit of opposition, but through prayer, got through it. And that was a really nice, although it felt horrible at the time, a nice experience looking back to give me that motivation to actually then go on and serve and complete the mission. So then we went to Edinburgh, jumped on a bus. That took forever. I can't remember how long it took, but it felt like forever getting up to Edinburgh. I think I've heard some people got the train up there, but we got a bus. So,
oh my gosh, that sounds terrible. I'm sorry. That sounds awful.
I think I was hot and sweaty and just took ages. But yeah. Oh, and it was late. We got up at like 5 in the morning, like 4:45. That was supposed to pick us up, and it was like an hour and a half late. So we got up, and that was just not a good start to the day. Eventually got to Edinburgh, and went into that upper room where the training room is, and sat down, met the mission president. I think the first thing that President Griffiths said to me was, "Ah, you look exactly like your picture." Like, oh, thank you.
Not everybody does. So.
Yeah, that's what he said. Like, really? Like, yeah, okay.
So true. Oh my word, that's very true.
So that was his first words to me. So there we go. And then we went up Pratt Hill, didn't we? Arthur Seat, and then we got up there and sang "High on the Mountain Top," and I didn't have a clue what the words were, so I was just kind of like humming and moving my mouth, but I didn't know what the words were. We didn't have hymn books. It was just like, right, let's sing "High on the Mountain Top." Okay. So I just didn't have a clue. And yeah, went down back to the mission home and got our trainers. My trainer was Elder Finley, Joshua Finley from West Jordan, Utah. I've got my notes here where he's from. And my first area was over in Northern Ireland, in Newton Abbey. So that's in the Belfast zone of Belfast Stake. So we jumped on the ferry. That took a couple of hours to get across to the ferry from the ferry. And Elder Finley actually lost his wallet on the ferry somehow. So when we got off, first few days, 3 weeks in the mission, I had to pay for everything because he lost his wallet. Eventually got that sorted out. That was a good fun experience. So yeah, so Newton Abbey, very first day we went to see the McDonald family. This is Richard, Linda, Lisa, Melissa, and Luke McDonald. Wonderful family. They're not members of the church. Richard did join eventually, maybe like a year and a half later, but the others didn't. And it's like, and Elder Finney was like, we need to go see the McDonald's. I mean, it's been long enough. Linda will be mad that we haven't gone round yet. Like, we've only been there like a couple of hours, I think. And so the McDonald family, you could literally just walk in their home night and day. Don't need to knock on the door. Just walk in, sit down in front of the fire. They'll feed you. They'll just have a lot of time for you. And so I was in Newton Abbey for 3 months, so 2 transfers. I think most days we were there because they'd have us. It was September, October, November time. So it was wet, windy. It's very, very wet. Again, that was a theme. Looking through my diary, it was raining, got soaked, raining. Like, just every day, I think it was raining.
Can I pose a question real quick, Joe?
Yeah.
Was Joshua originally called to Ireland or to Scotland? Because I know that the mission had merged prior to you getting there, correct?
Yeah, that's right. He was Scotland. Yeah. Sorry, I'll jump back. So I came in on the second transfer after it merged. So some of the missionaries in my group, they were actually called to the Scotland Edinburgh mission, or I don't know if anyone's called to Scotland Island. To the island Dublin. But I know one of my companions was called to the Scotland Edinburgh mission.
Okay.
So, because I got my call, I forgot to say this. I got my call, and I was in the MTC 6 weeks later. So it was a quick turnaround, getting my call and going out, because I also didn't need any visas or anything. So just up the road, as we said before. So,
right. That's cool. I just was curious because I know that during that transition period, it was 2 cultures that came together, and they had kind of the 1-and-1 for a period of time, where it was one Ireland missionary, one Scotland missionary, and had to kind of merge the culture. So I was curious where Josh fit in that.
Yeah, he was in the Scotland Edinburgh mission. And I was trying to think back, actually, if I felt that clash of cultures. I spent the first year in Northern Ireland. I had 3 areas, which we'll obviously come on to. And I think that the attitude of the mission when you were in Ireland, you were literally out of the way, out of sight, out of mind to a certain degree, because the mission home was in Edinburgh. So I kind of felt a bit of a disconnect maybe from the mission as a whole when I was in Ireland to a certain degree. But yeah, I've still had a great time and met lots of wonderful elders and sisters and members. But I think, there was a bit of, well, for me, I don't know if it was for other people, but a little bit of disconnect from the mission, maybe because it was teething, because it's brand new, 2 transfers into the merger. So there was maybe a little bit of the mission finding its feet, maybe a bit of that came into it. So in Newton Abbey, Elder Finley, we didn't teach a lot. Didn't have many lessons, unfortunately. We did a lot of tracting, a lot of knocking on doors in the rain, with not a lot of success, unfortunately. Great times, good fun serving, but just not a lot of teaching going on. I remember we had went down to Dublin for a day for all the new missionaries that were in Ireland. I think just towards the end of the second transfer, just to kind of summarize with the present Sister Griffiths how we're getting on. And I remember getting up. Elders got before me and said, "Yeah, we've been learning this. I've been teaching these lessons. Been really great." I got up, was like, "I haven't really taught any lessons. Been teaching members, but no investigators." I think President Griff was like, "That's okay, just keep going." Like, I don't think he said a lot, but yeah, I felt a little bit of a failure to a certain degree, because just wasn't teaching. Like, we're there to teach people, and it just wasn't happening. So the first few months were a bit tough in that regards. But like I say, go back to the people. Bishop Turley was the bishop in Newton Abbey. I remember around his most Sunday dinner after church, he looked after us as elders. And oh yeah, because Elder Finley lost his wallet, I think the first week, I think he gave us some money for some food for shopping. Like, so they did look after us, the Newton Abbey, which was nice. And yeah, I made some notes here to try. I got a terrible memory, so I made some notes to remember some points to
That's
think
great.
about. Yeah, I wrote here, nobody in. So every time we knocked on the door, nobody was in. That was the highlight from Newton Abbey. Yeah, so the McDonald family, go back to them. Yeah, wonderful family. We did go round there and watch TV. They were like, "If you're coming round, we're not turning the TV off, but you can still come in and just be here." Okay, fine.
That's great.
So we watched like the X Factor, which is like American Idol, over here. I think we watched that from start to finish over the months. But yeah, like, so because it was so wet and cold, they had a massive fire, so we'd go there just to warm up before we went home or something. So we'd often be sitting in front of that fire and just drift off to sleep, and and they just wake us up.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, so that was, great family. Unfortunately, well, both Richard and Linda have passed away now, and I had the privilege of going to Linda's funeral, so I flew back over to Belfast like 3-4 years ago, maybe. So it's nice to just pay my respects to Linda, because she was, and it wasn't just us. She, there was times when we had all the missionaries would come to their house. I think we went for like a Christmas dinner or something, and some service, because she ran a charity for children in, I want to say like Bulgaria or somewhere, where she'd get clothes from Primark. She used to work there, so all like the cast-offs, she'd box them up and ship them over for the children in like orphanages there. So the whole family, just a heart of gold, like the nicest people you'd ever meet. And they'd have all the missionaries from the zone, feed everyone, just have a good time there. And because I had another 2 areas within the Belfast area, they'd often just come and see us, and just say hello, bring some food. I think, so go back to my wife, Katie, she used to send me letters every week and packages very regularly. At least once a month, I'd have a package, and I think she'd send them to them, and they'd bring it across to me to make sure I got it. And just things like that, they'd come and just, I think on my birthday, I remember them coming to see me, even though I was in a different area. Just a wonderful family. And I spoke to Lisa and Melissa last Sunday, so it was nice to catch up a bit. So it's good to have those connections still.
That's great.
That is awesome.
Oh yeah, and also I need to mention Ian Felton, Elder Felton. I got a note here. So he grew up in the ward next to me. I'm in Galston. I grew up in Galston. He grew up in Lowestoft. It's maybe 8 miles away, so it's quite close. We knew a little bit of each other growing up, but weren't too close. Then all of a sudden, we're in like general conference, watching it at the chapel, and then Ian just sits beside me. Hello. So that was a nice little surprise seeing him there. And then if I go on to the next area, Hollywood Road, and I actually replaced Ian So he was serving in Hollywood. He went somewhere in Scotland. I think Dumfries, I think he went to. Then I replaced him in Hollywood. And I was then serving with Elder Craig Jeffries. He's an Englishman from Hartlepool. He was slightly older than the other missionaries. I think he went out when he was about 24, 25, maybe. I think he was a bit older than most people. Yeah, Elder Jeffries. What can I say about Elder Jeffries? He loved to cut people's hair on his mission, which was really random. We'd go to members' homes and like, do you want a haircut? And then he just had these scissors in his bag, and I think we had about 3 or 4 haircuts
In his bag?
Yeah, I think he carried them around
Ready to
just in
go.
case. Yeah,
Wow.
haircuts on demand. Yeah. So I think like he would cut the hair, then I'd be like practicing my teaching, talking to the other members of the family. So yeah, that was good fun. Yeah, so Hollywood. Yeah, that was I think some members there. Pretty much every missionary that served in and around the Hollywood Road area would have known and remembered Alison Tracy, member of the church. Her husband isn't a member of the church. She, again, loved missionaries, would help out missionaries as much as she could. When we had like zone conferences, she'd be there making the food for lunch sometimes, like just loved missionaries and just loved the gospel. And she was a wonderful, wonderful lady. So I always loved going around their home. Her husband was John, so John Tracy. And I got on with John, which was good. He was a nice guy. We had a bit in common. Well, we talked about football, so got on with that. He didn't really like elders. Alison would tell us like he doesn't really get on with elders. He got on with sisters. So when sisters were in the ward, she loved it because she was hoping that they'd be able to convert him and get him baptized. John and Alison actually had Elder Bednar in their home, and Elder Bednar invited John to be baptized. She told me, but still didn't. So, yeah. But yeah, John was a really nice guy. He's passed away now as well, actually. But I remember one day Alison phoned us up and she's like, I know we shouldn't do it. I know you shouldn't be doing this, but John wants you round to watch the football. Okay. I'm all right with that. It was a Champions League game, Arsenal versus Barcelona. Arsenal were 1-0 down, then 1-2-1 in the end. Me and John didn't really talk. We just sat beside each other and watched the game. You know, I don't really talk when I watch football. I just want to, absorb it and watch it. So nothing was really said, but we sat there and watched the football. Yes, I know, missionary, shouldn't be watching TV. But I think that was a nice relationship builder, with John. It was breaking down barriers that, elders can be all right as well as sisters. I know sisters are great, and we can't really top sisters because they do work that elders can't do possibly, but yeah, so I think that broke down some barriers with me and John, and yeah, just a lovely guy. So I enjoyed that night because I watched him football, but I enjoyed it more to getting to know John a little bit. And yeah, I'll always remember that night because I broke the rules, I guess you could say, the White Handbook. But what I've learned, and I've mentioned to other missionaries going out, I said it's just all about the people, just yes, be obedient, yes, follow the rules, but sometimes you just got to be with the people. And I think that was one of those moments I just had to be there with John for whatever reason. I don't know the full reason and the consequences of that, but yeah, it just felt right at the time, So other stories from Hollywood. We had a really crazy Sunday. One Sunday, we were teaching this Romanian family, and in the one house, I think there was about 5 Romanian families in this one house, like one family to a room, and there was about 5 or 6 to one room. So it was nuts, teaching. And we'd be teaching a lesson, then all of a sudden these kids would come in, these parents would come in, like we were in this little bedroom with about 15, 20 people around us and just trying to teach the gospel. They had broken English, so it was a bit, translation wasn't great. But they came to church. They all came. We had 9 people come to church one Sunday. So we organised the lifts because they couldn't. I don't think they had a car, so we had to get people to pick them up, and we did. And then we also had another investigator. So we had 10 people at church one Sunday, but that was mayhem. All the kids weren't going into primary. This is 3 hours church as well at the time as well. So it was a long day. The kids were running on the stage in the cultural hall, running in and out of classrooms. It was just mayhem. And we were trying to round up the kids, just trying to control them. Yeah, I think we were in the members' bad book for a bit after that one, but that was the first and last time they came, I think. So that was a crazy Sunday as a missionary. A great thing about Hollywood actually was that was a ward that got combined with another one called Rosetta, and Rosetta Ward building was then used for the YSA Centre for the stake. And so we were over this YSA Centre as well as elders. So we got to go to Institute and just hang out with people our age, which was great. It was always well attended. It was so well attended that I think once a month or every couple of months, they'd have one YSA sacrament meeting or church meetings. So we got to go to that. So that was a great time, just hanging out with, like I say, people our age and just messing around on a Wednesday night. We got home late a few times because we were just hanging out.
Nice.
Yeah. Because there you had Elder and Sister Holt, one of the senior couples. They were over the YSA as well, so they would take us home as well after the Institute and whatnot. Elder Holt, Sister Holt, they were great. I was around them for that whole year in Belfast. They were called to the Ireland Dublin mission, I believe, from memory. So I think they spent the whole time in Ireland. I remember because we'd play basketball at Hollywood with like the young men, and Elder Holt would be there. It was good. It was, it was no spring chicken, but it was good for his age. And he'd take us home. Again, would be late. There's a theme going on here. We're late watching TV. I did do
Working with the
members.
Yeah.
Yeah, work with the members. Yeah. And Elder Holt would take us home. He'd always get us a McFlurry when we go home. That was great. One time we were driving us, it was a bit sketchy going in the car with him. I remember he hit a curb and the hubcap went this way and we drove that way. All right, we're not getting that back. So yeah, that was they were great though. They were a great couple. I loved serving around the Holts. They were kind of like your mum and dad from away from home. Kept us in line a bit as well. So that was the Holts. Right. So yeah, still with Elder Jeffries at this time. I remember one night we went out finding, and one of the members spoke about an experience on his mission, how I think his mission president told him, we're not looking for fishers, we're looking for hunters of men. And he shared a scripture with us. I can't remember the scripture now. I should have tried to remember it before this. Something like, I'll send for fishers, but now I want like hunters of men. He said, elders, you gotta go hunting. You're not going fishing, do a missionary, but you'll go hunting. Okay, what's that look like? He said, give this a go. Pray before you go out, and pray for like literally a direction to walk and turn and where to stop. So we gave it a go this one night. Literally, right, let's go hunting. Said a prayer before we went out, and we felt, okay, out the door, turn left, turn right. It was literally the directions we were kind of feeling prompted to, and we felt to go to this house. Knocked on the house. Oh, I know her. And I recognised her, and I think, where did I know her from? We encountered her maybe a week or week and a half ago before that night, and we were walking on the street, and we kind of spoke to her, but I didn't really push it. I felt I maybe should have spoke to her a little bit more. She kind of just fobbed us off and carried on. I thought, I should have done more there. And it was this woman. Her name was Carol. We gave her a Book of Mormon. That was it. there was no baptism story, unfortunately, after this, but it was just showing me that when you actually listen to the Lord, and even though I kind of felt I should have done more, like a week or so ago, before that time, he directed us to her path and gave her the Book of Mormon. Followed up with her, and nothing happened, but that was a great experience for me. Just still starting my mission, finding my feet, trying to listen to promptings of the Spirit to go and do missionary work. So I love that experience. I'll always remember that experience, not because it's a fantastic miracle that happened, but just that those promptings to go find people. That was I love that. Some other members in Hollywood Road. Every Saturday morning we'd go see a member called Geordie, an older gentleman, and he'd cook us breakfast or lunch, and he'd always want to watch a movie with us. Again, TV again, sorry. We watched like Mission Impossible and whatever he wanted to watch. Again, just spent time with him. It was great. And then I spent how long with Elder Jeffries? I was 3 months, 2 transfers with Elder Jeffries. And then Elder Brad Lashak came in from Fort Worth, Texas. He was older. He came out when he was older. He was a convert, American, but he was a practicing Muslim beforehand, and got converted and then served the mission. I was only with him for 1 transfer because he was going home, and that was only a 5-week transfer. So it was a very short-lived time with Elder Lashak, but we got on. I really enjoyed serving with him, worked hard. And that was good fun with Elder Lashak. And then within that time, we actually had to be in a little trio, because one of the elders got sent home, essentially. So that companion came with us for a few days, and we had to go to the chapel. President Griffiths flew over to speak to this elder, and we were there for like an hour or so, just waiting, wondering what's going on. And then he came out and spoke to us, and the one thing that he said, "Elders, never leave your companion," and that was it. Like, oh, okay. Don't have a clue what went on. Don't know what happened, but never leave your companion. Okay, got it. We had Elder Barton come with us. What was his first name? Caleb Barton, for a few days. I love Elder Barton. I found the front cover of my Preach My Gospel. It ripped off, but I've still managed to save it. And I wrote down all my exchanges on there as well as my companions. And Elder Barton was my most person I was with on exchanges. I went with him 5 times plus that little trio. So spent a lot of time in and around with Elder Barton. So I really, really liked Elder Barton. He was a great guy. Is a great guy. And then after Elder Lashak, Elder Ben Hawkins came into Hollywood. He's from England. I didn't know him beforehand or anything, but we got on really well. And we had 6 weeks together in Hollywood before we moved. And that was a great time. We both liked football. So our morning exercise was there's a field just by our house that we were in. We'd hop over the fence because it wasn't open. And then we'd go play in the football goals together for our morning exercise. I had a great time with Elder Hawkins.
And you did that for exactly 30 minutes, correct?
Yes, we did. Yes, of course we did.
Oh goodness,
so
I love it.
I had a great time with Elder Hawkins in Hollywood. We got close to some great families in there as well. One family I remember is the White family, and they were a great laugh. We loved to go around there. They'd feed us, and then they'd feed us again, and then they'd feed us again. Like we had like seconds and thirds when we were around there for dinner. Like we just had to put it away somewhere. Like that was great, massive portions. I loosely stay in contact with the White family. Debbie White is the mum, and the joke is that I don't know if there's a thing where you guys are, but they spent time in Boston for a few years, and she presented this dish one day, and it was chicken with grapes within like the salad, like chicken salad with grapes. I was like, what is this? Like, and like I just couldn't believe what was in front of me. And we had a good relationship, so it was a bit of banter and everything. Like, you know,
Was there
yeah, like,
celery in it too?
I can't remember. I just remember being amazed. There was grapes with chicken. That just completely threw me.
That's an American thing.
Yeah, I assume so. But yeah, I actually liked it. It was good. It was good. It just, but that's like my main memory from going around their home was this chicken and grapes. That's like, yeah, that's kind of like the run and joke when we get in contact with each other. Yeah, it was good. It was good though. But they were great. They were great. Me and Elder Hawkins actually, let's say we were together for 6 weeks in Hollywood, and then we actually got our moves call, and we both moved together to Lisburn, so still within the Belfast stake, because they shuffled around the zone leaders area. So the zone leaders were in Lisburn, but they moved them to Bangor, and so there's a little bit of shuffling. So we stayed together, which was great because we got on having a really good time. So that was brilliant. And we thought, yeah, going to Lisburn, that's a car area, so get a car and everything. So yeah, I was really excited for that move. And so we got the call. I thought, right, we're not going to know where we're going. So I went and brought a sat nav for when we get in the car. Spent like £110 on this sat nav, and then next thing we get, literally after I bought that, elders, we're gonna have to take the car away from me. Like, okay, well, we haven't even got in it yet. Like, which sister was it? There was a sister, I forget her name now. She like sprained or broke her ankle, and so the sisters went into Hollywood, which was a bus and walking area where we just came from. Buses were great, buses all the time, no problem. But they put the car in that area to help her recover of her ankle. And so me and Elder Hawkins, this was a massive area. Like, buses were non-existent. So we walked everywhere, and that area went down to like the border of Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. So a place called Newcastle, where all the mountains are. That's just a massive area. And like, we were walking. I mean, it was funny actually. I look back on this picture. There's me and Elder Hawkins with the sisters and the Holts, and we looked so tanned. It was the summer. We looked orange because we were just out all the time walking, caught the sun. And I think there was a rumor or a joke going around the zone that we was on sunbeds, like P-Day, go to get a sunbed and top up the tan. But that's because the sisters took our car away from us, and so we had to walk everywhere. Yeah, yeah, a lot of walking in that area. That flat as well, Lisburn flat, I think it was, I could be wrong, other elders might have other opinions. I think that was the best flat in the mission. I had the best shower in the mission. It was a big walk-in shower, hot water all the time, perfect. And it had like this little, so you were kind of down a hill, and the door was around the back, and there was a house above. So the family above were the landlords for the flat below. And that had, because it was kind of in a hill, it had this little, we called the back cave, not the Bat Cave, not Batman's cave, but the back cave. And that was literally when Elder Barton got there, him and his companion, I think it was Elder Jones, they cleared it out. Before, that was like the dumping ground. Like, everything went in there, all the supplies, all dumped in there. It was a complete mess. I mean, missionaries' clothes and everything must have been there for like decades, just shoved in this cave, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind, I guess. But they cleared it out, and then we came in there, and there was a table tennis table there. So morning exercise, table tennis. But you were like, because it was in this basement, and like the table was as big as the room, so you're playing with like your hands like this, all hunched together.
Jeez.
But that was so good. I love being in that flat. And we were there, like I said, in the summer, and in Ireland on the 12th of July is like where they have all the parades. We weren't allowed out because they thought we might have been like because quite a political thing, these parades, and religious. So we had to get in the flat early on the 11th and stay in the flat on the 12th all day. Because the family was above us, we actually hung out with the family in the garden. They had a trampoline, they had 2 football goals. So we were just playing football, bouncing on the trampoline with these kids, just having a good time. Because we were going a bit stir crazy. It was only one day, but we were just going nuts. Like, we had to get out of the house. So we played around with the kids. Those kids were great. Like, they'd often just, like, when they come down for school, they just come and like go up against the window and just blow their faces against the window and just they must have been like 10, 8 years old. I think there was 3 kids. And one day we were there just like doing our studies, and all of a sudden they run through the door. They run in our bedroom and run around the house, and they opened the window, jumped in the window. Like, we're just there sitting at the table, like, what should we do? Like, all these kids running around the house. Yeah, that was good fun. They were a good crack, as you say in Ireland. And oh yeah, this is another thing with the family above us. You're not allowed to have pets as a missionary. That's definitely in the White Handbook. They went on holiday, and they're like, "Would you do us a favour and look after our goldfish for us?" What? Okay.
Goldfish.
Well, we're not really supposed to have pets. So what we did, we left it in their front porch, and we just went up every night and fed this goldfish for 8 days before they came back on holiday. Yeah, that was fun. So I had a little pet goldfish for 8 days on my mission.
That's pretty good.
What else happened? And yeah, Lisbon. Yeah, there were some, again, great members there, some great families. It was a good strong ward in the stake. Some good families. There was the Harkness family. I think they had about 10, 11 kids. Quite older kids, like some had served missions and kind of come back from missions, but all the way down to like primary age. So it was fun going around their house, because that was mayhem, but a good mayhem. And actually, it's funny. So my cousin he's about to finish his mission tomorrow. He's serving in the Birmingham, England mission. And the mission president and wife, mission leaders now, is President and Sister Parker from Lisburn Ward. So I know them a little bit, and I was reading my journal again in preparation for this. And one day we were walking in the park. So our house was quite close to this park, lovely park with there'd be people playing cricket. We'd sit down and watch cricket for a little bit. Elder Hawkins liked cricket. It's a lovely little park. But this one guy came up to us one day, and like, it was out of his head, drunk. Like, it was just, and he'd come up to us. For some reason, he was behind this fence from memory, and he was like shaking the fence, like, I'm an angel, I'm Joseph Smith. Like, God, what's going on here? And like, he'd follow us through this park, like just shouting things at us. And like, oh man, what's going on? Luckily he was behind this fence so we can get away from him. And then like an hour later, we found him again in town, and he's following us again. He's talking, like, I don't know, shouting out these obscure gospel things. And he's drinking. And like, these people around us just looking and laughing at us, because he must be the local nutter, and like everyone knows it, and they were just laughing at us. We were with him like for an hour, just like by this bin outside this fish and chip shop, and he was just spouting off these things. And at one moment he said, right, hold this. So he gives me his beer can, and he goes behind the bin to take a wee, take a pee. It's like, there you go, there's your beer can back. And then I think we ran after that. Yeah. And then
hold my beer, literally. Hold my beer.
Literally hold it. Yeah. And then the reason that comes to memory is because, talking about President and Sister Parker, who are now the mission presidents of Birmingham, I think she saw us and checked we were okay. I think she was just walking by or drove by. So yeah, we were okay. That was fun. That was a funny experience. Another experience in that park was a little bit lighthearted and a little bit better. This woman had a flat tire, and so we helped change the tire. So I remember her saying, "How do you keep your shirt so white?" It's like, well, not doing this, getting this oil everywhere. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Lisbon was a great area. It's so sunny, so nice. Although I say sunny, it would randomly just rain out of nowhere. And because it was the summer, you're in your short sleeve shirts, really hot, then just a downpour would happen. I remember one time this lady, this random lady, must have felt sorry for us because it was chucking it down. And she pulled over and said, "Do you want a lift?" Well, it's just her and like her little daughter. We shouldn't really get in, but we're soaking wet. We're not far from home. So yeah, we jumped in and she took us home. She's like, "Don't talk religion to me. I'm just going to take you home. I feel sorry for you." So she took us home. So that was good. That was nice of her. What else was I going to say? Yes, this other guy. So this is I always remember this interaction. We were knocking houses, and there was this man washing his car, and we just obviously spoke to him, offered to help wash his car. I said, "Nah, don't worry about it, but you can talk to me." So we started talking to him. He was telling us stories. He was a religious man. You know, most people in Ireland have a religion, you know, Protestant or Catholic usually. A lot of born again Christians as well. So yeah, I had a good experience. My wife, she fasted a lot for me. I think she was fasting for like a few months, like on and off, intermittent fasting. Because I mean, this again, Northern Ireland, there was, you know, the troubles in Northern Ireland. I know it was more prominent back in the day, but still things went on when we were there, even as missionaries. There'd be bomb scares, you know, there'd be random checks for cars with like bombs under the cars. I remember one night the elders in Cave Hill, the area, had to come stay with us because there was a bomb scare outside their flat. So they come and spent the night with us. So it was still going on. And so this guy was telling us all the stories about the troubles, you know, his experience. And he said one day he got a knock on the door and he looked down and there was his son dead on the doorstep. It's like, wow, flip. And then he's like, I knew exactly who it was. So I got on my push bike, got my gun, went to the house and shot them both. Like there's this man just like talking to us so calmly, like it was matter of fact, like, wow. And like we were in the back garden, I was on the trampoline playing with his granddaughter, like doing flips on the trampoline. Lovely guy. He gave us a lift home as well, you know. As so this man that had done these horrible things or had these horrible things done to him as well, the nicest guy you could ever meet. Like he just a lovely guy. And his wife was fasting, he said, and that's when he kind of came to and kind of changed his life around at that point. And he didn't realize she was fasting. She was doing that by herself and not telling him. And I met a lot of people like that in Northern Ireland. There's, you know, that older generation growing up in the troubles, you know, it was obviously tough times for them. And you'd hear a lot of stories, a lot of horror stories, which probably aren't suitable for this podcast. There are some horrible things that went on. But the people are so friendly. I remember walking down the street, like in England, you walk down the street, everyone's head down, look down, no one says anything to each other. But there, even especially as being missionaries over there, everyone would say hello. Like everyone was so friendly. So it was really easy to talk to people. And that's one thing I love about the Irish. You know, people in Northern Ireland is just so friendly. Like anyone you meet, you're like part of the family. Like that's one thing I remember and I love about, you know, people from there. As soon as I hear somebody with a Northern Irish accent, like at home, I go, "Oh, where you from? Where you from?" Like just get to know their story. I just love those people. That's so friendly, so friendly. But that time came to an end, and that was my pretty much my first calendar year on the mission, being in Northern Ireland, and then I went over to Falkirk. So first area in Scotland. I served with Elder Bigelow, Hunter Bigelow. He's from Manti, Utah. I love serving with Elder Bigelow. We were only together for 6 weeks, but we got a lot done. Worked hard. I finally got the car. That was a car area. So we missed out on Lisbon, but got a car in Falkirk. Yeah, had a great time with Elder Bigelow. I listened to Elder Beale's podcast a few weeks back. So I replaced him when he left Falkirk. And he mentioned about Kobe Mead. So a young girl, I think her mum joined previously, and she was still debating whether to get baptized or not. So I kind of came in after all the hard work had been done, and Kobe then set a baptismal date. So I felt bad for Elder Beale going out at that time. But yeah, so Kobe got baptized, which was great. It was lovely to see her make that decision. I remember her baptismal date. She wore this massive white puffy dress. It's like, that's not going to work. And she had to get baptized 3 times because the dress kept on coming up. And she had some friends and family there. And yeah, and talked to them after. Yeah, that was really great. That was really great. I mean, I loved that she had to go down 3 times because they thought it was for one for the Father, for the Son, for the Holy Ghost. So they thought that was like the complete set for baptism. So no, her dress kept popping up. That was the reason. Yeah, that was great. Seeing Kobe getting baptized. We taught a lady called Lilius. I think on my first day or 2 getting into the area, this lady called Donna Forsyth, that was her last name. She brought her friend to church, Lilius, and she's like, she wants to get baptized. Cool. Yeah, so bear in mind, like I said, in Ireland, not too much success, not teaching much. And I'll go to Falkirk, Kobe gets baptized, and I've got Lilius turn up the church who wants to get baptized. So that's lovely. So we started teaching Lilius. And I remember one lesson we had with her. It was about praying to know if the Book of Mormon was true. And we asked her to pray. We got down and prayed. And she got stuck in the prayer, like didn't know what to say. She literally said, I'm stuck, don't know what to say. And then Donna stepped in, her friend, and she finished off the prayer saying, please help Lilius to know that it's true. And it was a very broken up prayer. Not your typical textbook prayer, but the spirit was so strong in that room at that time, and she felt it, and we all felt it, and that just helped her have that confirmation that this was the right thing to do. And so Lilius got baptized within those 6 weeks. I was in Falkirk as well, so that was wonderful to see. A couple of members that I remember from Falkirk. One was Archie. I think anyone that served in Falkirk around that time would remember Archie. He didn't work, so he was a missionary's best friend because you could take him out on joint teachers and tracting. Because if you got in on the door and as a single lady there, you couldn't go in. So Archie was always there to help us get into doors. And he had this his spiritual room in his flat, and you go in there, and one particular room was painted all white. And he wanted it to be like the temple. So he made his own little altar in the middle of the room, had all these white statues of the Savior. And it took me back when I first walked in there. It was a bit much, but his heart was there. He was a wonderful guy. Like I say, had all the time for the missionaries and would just come out with us all the time. So that was great. We had a sister called Sister McFeet, I believe is her name. Every time we went round hers for dinner, it was a 3-course meal. Did any of you
had that meal?
Yeah, you served in Falkirk.
We've talked about it on the podcast, the McFeast.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so that was great. Like soup to start, then like a roast, and then ice cream and strawberries for dessert. Yeah, that was very proper. Like knives and forks and everything was set out lovely. And yeah, she was a great cook. I remember that. Yeah, she was a great cook. And so do you remember Sister McNeil as well?
Not offhand.
No. So she was a proper Scottish lady. Like you think of a Scottish woman, that's Sister McNeil. Very tough, very to the point. And I remember I think I'd been there for a couple of Sundays. I think I was sitting next to her in church, and we were singing Praise to the Man. And because that theme is a Scottish theme as well, isn't it? Especially when you get the bagpipes in there. And she was like, I never usually like English elders, but I like you because you sang that really loud.
There you go.
So, yes, I won her over. And I don't like singing. I don't. So, yeah, I think that's the one song that I can sing loud. I can't sing. There's no tune to my voice, but I think you can shout that hymn out. So I must have been shouting that hymn out. So she liked me after that, which was great. So yeah, she was a lovely lady. So yeah, only 6 weeks in Falkirk, unfortunately. Had a great time. Got to know a few people. I would like to have stayed longer to get to know people a little bit better, but wasn't to be. So I then moved on to Aberdeen after that, and that was in the winter. So did you guys serve up in Aberdeen way or?
Yes, I was in Aberdeen Ward for 6 months of my mission.
Yeah, great. So I was only there again for 6 weeks. I had another 6 week transfer just being there, but it was over the winter, so very, very cold, as I'm sure you're aware. Very windy. And I remember going from Falkirk to Aberdeen my first night. So moves is crazy. So all the missionaries get together where you can, and off you go. And we filled up the car, drove to Aberdeen, which I think takes a couple of hours from Edinburgh, from memory.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to our flat. So I was in Aberdeen Ward, and so that was fine. Got there great. And then the other elders, I forget where they were going to, couldn't start the car again. So it was like already like 9:45 at night, maybe 10 o'clock at night by the time we got there. What's going on? And we retracked our steps, and turns out that they put petrol in the diesel car.
Oh no.
So somehow, literally a miracle, so miracles do happen, we got all the way from Edinburgh with petrol in a diesel all the way to Aberdeen.
That's
Somehow.
Unbelievable. Oh my
But
gosh.
but it wouldn't start again. So we had to like phone up the AA to come like pick it up, and they must have drained the engine or something. I think we got it back like 2 days later, or those elders did. But yeah, I couldn't believe that. That was how did it make that journey from Edinburgh to Aberdeen with the wrong fuel? I don't know. So the Lord was definitely pushing us along, I think, the road at that time.
Unreal.
So Aberdeen, again, only there 6 weeks, so didn't really get to know many people well enough as I would have liked to. There was one recent convert called Anupam. He was an Indian guy, got recently baptized, and he was a chef. So going around his house was brilliant. He made this, first time I went there, I think he just made us scrambled eggs. But it was the best scrambled eggs I've ever had in my life. I don't know what he did to it, but that was superb. Yeah, love Anupam. He was fantastic. A great chef. It was lovely going around him, see him. So I
Who
was
is your
serving,
companion, Joe?
yeah. I was just getting back to that. I forgot to say. So that was Adam Ellison. He was an English guy from the Isle of Wight. He was in my group. So I forgot to say as well. So Elder Hawkins was in my MTC group, and Elder Ellison was in my MTC group as well. So again, just 6 weeks with him, but really liked Elder Ellison. I think we got on pretty well. He was kind of showing me the rope, because that was like when I became a zone leader. So he was teaching me all the stuff to be, a zone leader. So he had a lot of patience and helped me. And I remember one time he was ill for quite a period of time, so we didn't get to go out of the flat too much for like a week maybe. And being in a flat when you're ill as a missionary isn't fun. Just what can you do, So just reading the scriptures, I guess, and just sitting around, maybe taking a few naps. I don't know what I did. But there was one experience. This is one that really helps me with my testimony. I was there in Aberdeen. I don't know, maybe because I was cold, I was a bit depressed, maybe. I don't know. And I was like, I'm teaching all these people about praying about the Book of Mormon. But like I said to you before, I finished the Book of Mormon the day of the MTC, so I have read it. But I didn't feel I had like a true kind of conviction with it. And we've been inviting all these people. You know, I've been on my mission now for a year to pray about the Book of Mormon. I was like, I haven't really had an experience with it, you know, like confirmation of it. And so I spent that time thinking, and then I said a prayer, and I said to, you know, Heavenly Father, please help me to have an experience with the Book of Mormon, because if not, I'm just going to go home. Because I could literally just jump on the train and get home within a few hours, because again, just up the road from home. So I had that mindset. I was ready to go home if this wasn't, you know, wasn't for me. What's the point of doing another year if it's a load of rubbish? And the answer of that prayer was get up off your knees and just continue reading where you are in the Book of Mormon. I was reading from front to back at that time, and when I opened up the book, it was in Moroni chapter 3. This is great because the small chapters, only 4 verses. So I read this, and in verse 3 and 4, if you don't mind, I'll have to read it because it was kind of the answer that I got. So bear in mind, I'm in this mindset. I'm going to go home if I don't have this experience, pack it all in. And then this was the words on the page. In the name of Jesus Christ, I ordain you to be a priest, or if he be a teacher, I ordain you to be a teacher to preach repentance and remissions of sins through Jesus Christ, by the endurance of faith on his name, to the end. Amen. And after this manner they did ordain priests and teachers according to the gifts and callings of God unto men, and they ordained them by the power of the Holy Ghost which was in them. So that's a missionary. That's the purpose of a missionary. So although Elder Ellison was in bed, you know, not feeling very well, that was a time when I had probably the most spiritual moment on my mission, just getting that answer from the page of the Book of Mormon. And it's like, right, yeah, let's go, let's do this, because that was another experience just to give me that push to carry on and keep going. And yeah, I always remember those scriptures now, because that was such a big pivotal moment for me in my mission, because then I could actually go to speak to people with confidence and say, I've had an experience and I know that you can. And so that was a real game changer for me personally, serving a mission. And then Aberdeen, I then went to Dundee after that, into Bingham, Dundee. And did one of you guys serve in Dundee?
I was in the Montrose ward for 6 months, my mission. So I was in and out of Dundee quite frequently.
Yeah. Again, only there 6 weeks. So I had Falkirk 6 weeks, Aberdeen 6 weeks, and Dundee 6 weeks. So it was a bit frustrating.
Or Scotland.
Yeah. And I was with Elder Stewart, Elder Jacob Stewart, from Layton, Utah. Again, only with him for 6 weeks. But he was great. I loved serving with Elder Stewart. He was very focused. We worked hard. My good memory of Elder Stewart was that we went finding in the city centre. This is Christmas time, so I spent Christmas in Dundee, and he's like, "Should we go carol singing?" Again, I said, I can't sing. I don't fancy standing in the city centre of Dundee singing. I think some other elders or sisters came with us, but ended up just being Elder Stewart singing. So he was singing by himself, and we were just talking to people, just handing out pass-along cards. So he was very committed, Elder Stewart. I loved him for that. Yeah, I really enjoyed serving Elder Stewart. Again, I was only there 6 weeks. I haven't got too many offhand memories of Dundee, which is a shame, because what happened, they then moved the zone leader areas. So they moved the zone leader area from Dundee to Dunfermline to be close to President Watson, Darrell Watson. So I moved after Dundee to Dunfermline and served with Elder Samuel Whitmer. He was from Arizona. So a bit of shuffling around the zone. And Dunfermline, I was there for 4.5 months, and I was with Elder Whitmer for that whole time as well.
Wow.
So I love Dunfermline. That was such a good area.
I also
Great.
had a 4.5 month companion in Dunfermline.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, we did.
Must be in the water.
That's right. It is.
Yeah. Dunfermline. I have been back and visited once. Maybe we'll come back on. Actually, let's take a tangent. So I got married, came back in August, got married in December. I'm still in a bit of missionary mode, I guess you could say. So our honeymoon was going up to Scotland. And we got, that's it. So Scotland in December, cold, wet. So Katie hasn't really let me live that down ever since. She wanted to go to like the Bahamas or wherever, but let's go to Scotland, that'd be great. So we drove from mine to Scotland. That was like an 8-hour drive in a little Ford Fiesta up to Scotland for our honeymoon.
Nice.
Yeah. And for New Year's Eve and everything. And Katie got ill. So New Year's Eve, she was in bed because she was ill, throwing up. So it wasn't the best honeymoon. So I do owe her that, actually. I still haven't sorted that one out yet. So, but because I wanted to go there because of those people, like in Dunfermline, those members, there was, I could list through the names. You got the Rands, Paul Rand, still kind of keep in contact with him loosely. It was Bishop Marr at the time. Obviously, President Watson was there. The MacDonalds, the Andersons, the Waddles or Waddells, the Lynches, Dom Hudson, Tim Hudson. So good. Love my time there.
Had Dom just come home from his mission at that point in time?
Yes. And he actually got married when we were there, and we got to go to the wedding. So
man, that's awesome.
Yeah, him and Jessa's wedding, we got to go, and they were doing the speeches at one point, and Dom's looking at me, like eyeing me, like, what do you want? I was like sitting to the side. I think I had to go grab something, some drinks or some chairs, and like, so I was part of the wedding slightly. Had to do something. Like it was like a last panic, like something. But yeah, he was great. We helped him out with he was studying something like film, and we had to do like a video of reenacting Luke in Star Wars when Darth Vader told him that he was his father. I was Luke. He put ketchup on my face, like for like the bleeding face of Luke Skywalker, and just had to shout no. I don't know what he did that video. It might be on YouTube somewhere. I don't know. Mormon missionary playing Luke Skywalker. I don't know. And Eld Whitman was Darth Vader, I think. I had a great time.
I'll send Tom a message and see if he's got that. I'll send it to you.
God, that'd be cringy. You'll see that. Yeah, he was great. Yeah, Dom was great. It was great fun. Yeah, so 4.5 months there. So it was a long time. We whitewashed in, which was great because no previous elders to say we go do this on a certain day. So it's a clean slate. So we just took that to our advantage and just went around missionary members' homes and just popped by. And I think that really helped just to get to know the wards because we just wanted to go see everybody. And it seemed like Dunfermline was just on fire, like with missionary work at the time. Brother Liston was the ward mission leader, I think, at the time. I think Brother Paul Rand was as well. I think they kind of changed when I was there. And it just seemed like everybody was involved in missionary work. Like it was a missionary's dream serving there. We taught, there was 2 people that got baptized in our time there. And one was Michelle. She was originally from London, I believe. We found her on the street, contacting on the street, which was nice. She was praying for a church, and the Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on the door. So she's like, oh, that's my answer. And she had a few lessons with them. And then she didn't think that was quite right. She prayed again, and then Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on the door again. So, oh, this must be the answer. And then she's like, it's probably not. And then she prayed again, and then we spoke to her in the street, and that kind of snowballed from there. That was a nice experience. I never physically baptized anybody as a missionary, doing the dunking. But she was the one person that I got to confirm, and I remember performing that, and just felt like the spirit. It was weird, like come out of my body to her. That sounds quite strange saying out loud, but I remember feeling the spirit really strongly doing that. So it was a really nice privilege to do that. And then we rewind a little bit, I think on our first Sunday, we were sitting in elders quorum, and there's this guy to our right, and he was answering all the questions. Like, oh, who's that? His name was Michael, Michael West, and he was a friend of the Oakleys, who are a family in Dunfermline. And I oh yeah, he knows his stuff, like answering all the questions. He's like, yeah, he's not a member. Oh, our eyes lit up. Right. Someone at church already there answering all the questions. Right, let's get him. And so we spoke to Michael, and he was ready to be baptized, but his dad was really against it, and that was what was stopping him. He really respected his dad, so he didn't want to go against his dad's wishes. And so we spoke with him, met with him a few times, and the ward fasted for 40 days, took it in turns, like a person each day. So it was like a constant fast for 40 days. And that was tough as a missionary, walking around all day and fasting. But at the end of those 40 days, we got a phone call from Michael. He said, my dad said, that's fine. Happy for me to get baptized. And so that was a direct miracle from the ward fasting. And that was such a testimony builder. That, so cool. And he got baptized, but there was another stumbling block. He hated the water, like petrified. So Brother Waddle or Waddell, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. He was an expert in like water safety, like helping people with the phobia of water. So we went down there. I think Dom was there as well, because Dom ultimately baptized Michael. And we'd do like a run through in the font. So we were helping him get used to it. Like, again, the ward were just on it. They were just so helpful. And so, yeah, Michael got baptized, and that baptismal service, that was so good. There was 129 people at the baptismal service. Man. Like all the YSA came from the stake, all the ward were there. I think we had to open the shutters at the back because there wasn't enough seats. I'd never seen it before, and not since. That was I think because everybody knew Michael and loved him and knew that he didn't want to go against his dad's wishes, and so it was like a great event, happy event for everybody that he was able to be baptized and made that choice. And yeah, President Watson was conducting, asked me to come up and bear testimony, and that was just a wonderful experience. That's one I'll always remember from my mission, because so many people there, spirit was so strong, and Michael was so great. I remember going around the Oakleys, and we'd play games, we'd have dinner, play games. Did you ever play the game Chubby Bunny?
Oh yeah, we played Chubby Bunny.
Yeah. So I never played that before. I was introduced to that around the Oakleys, and I read in my journal that I got 11 marshmallows in my mouth at one point. So
it's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And I think Michael, he tried the cinnamon challenge, like just dry cinnamon.
Oh no!
And like completely gagged, spat it out everywhere. That was so funny. Yeah, it was great. I could probably talk about Dunfermline for like a couple of hours alone. There was so many great memories. Brother Liston, we just talked about football. He was a Manchester United fan. I'm a Norwich City fan. That's my local team. So we talk about football. I think they were the first. They introduced me to curry. My parents don't like spicy food, so I think my first curry was round the Liston's house, and I've loved it ever since. I was on exchanges with Elder Dodd, Matthew Dodd. He was a fellow Englishman. He's like, you never had a curry before? He was from Manchester. No. And then that was my first curry around their house. And I've enjoyed them ever since. Um, um, oh, so let's think. Anything else from Dunfermline? Um,
As you're looking at that, Joe, like just every name that you mentioned, like I will second everything you said about that ward and the people there. I know not everyone still lives in the Dunfermline area. I was back last summer and saw a lot of those people for the first time in nearly 20 years. And it was as if I had stepped into a time warp, and there had been no time between the time I was with them. And it was so wonderful just to spend time with the Rands. And I actually had lunch with Julie and Philippa because Tim was on his way out of town. And I saw Sister Liston at the Montrose ward because they've moved up there, and Ian was unwell, so I missed him, but I did speak to him briefly. It was good to see him. So, and then the Lynch boys, both Jordan and Josh live up there, and I just love those kids. So amazing memories, and Dunfermline is one of those places that if I ever decided to resettle on the other side of the world, that's where I'd live.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, you bring up the Lynch boys. I think it was Josh. He was a really keen golfer, really good at playing golf. And we went and played golf with them. And we went to a course. And Elder Whitman liked his golf as well. So we went and played with them. And I remember one hole, got the driver out, because I like golf. I played a bit when I was younger. I tried to really smack this driver, and I hooked it to the left. And there was houses along the side of the golf course.
Yeah.
And you guess what's going to happen? It smacked the window, a patio window. Somehow it didn't smash. It bounced off, and like this guy came out and like, I don't know, shouted at us and whatnot. But I'm like, you live next to a golf course. What do you expect? Like, some miracle that didn't smash. But yeah, that was a good day playing golf. And actually, we borrowed Brother Lynch's driver or his golf clubs and took him up to St Andrews because that was part of our area.
Yeah.
So we went to the old course and took a picture on the little bridge there on the old course at St Andrews. We didn't play the course. We went to the driving range and went on the driving range, and we broke Brother Lynch's driver. I don't know how it happened, but the driver head, by the time we finished with it, had a massive crack through it.
Oh
like
my
God.
God.
All we were doing was hitting the balls, and it's like we sheepishly went back and were sorry, but the driver's broke. Like you could see he was a bit annoyed, a bit upset, but he took it well because drivers aren't cheap.
Right.
But yeah, it was fine, but we felt so bad taking that back. We had this great time at St Andrews, and yeah, broke his driver. I brought a putter head, which I still have today. So that's on my putter and my golf bag of the St Andrews old course. But this, I'm really annoyed about this. The very next transfer when I moved, so my next area was Irvine in the Paisley zone, and the very next transfer, so Elder Hawkins came in, so one of my previous companions to replace me, and President Griffiths took them both to play the old course at St Andrews.
Oh,
so I missed out by like a couple of weeks. I was so annoyed when I heard that.
Well, just put it out there, Joe, because maybe President Griffiths will listen to this, and the next time he's over, you'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna go up to St Andrews and we're gonna go play, and it's on you."
I think actually we visited him a few years ago in Utah and went to his home. I think I brought it up then. I think I might have been brave enough to bring it up. I can't remember. I think I did. But
So
yeah. So yeah, I moved on to Irvine after Dunfermline, and that was for my remaining time, which was 4.5 months. So that's the last 4.5 months of my mission in Irvine. My companion was Sam Davidson from Wyoming. He was a great guy. I loved L. Davidson. We actually had when I was in Aberdeen, he came and joined us for a week or two in a trio. So I already kind of knew him a little bit. So now we are full on companions, and yeah, I love serving with Elder Davidson. Had some great fun with him. Worked hard, and Did any of you guys, did you serve around Irvine Ward? I think
I was in Johnston. That was closest I got
Johnson,
there.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, Irvine was great, lovely place, right on the west coast. So the scenery was lovely. Once you get past the houses, you look on the coast and you can see the nice scenery. And we covered a part of that Irvine ward. There was us and sisters in the ward, and we also covered the branch Beef branch, and
Yep.
also Stranraer. So we had 3
Wow.
areas to cover, which was fun. So we could pick where to go. We mostly stayed in Irvine, and Beef was kind of close, so we went there quite a bit. We went down to Stranraer a few times, but that was such a nice drive. Loved going down there, just along the coastline. Yeah, we loved going down there. We'd visit the members because that was a small branch, 10 or so members. So we'd go and visit the members when we went down there. Did a little bit of finding. So Irvine, some great times in Irvine as well. Some great people. So let's see. Yeah, I've read this in my diary. So it's the first day, first appointment set up in Irvine. And I wrote in my diary, he wasn't in because he got attacked. He's in hospital because I think somebody stole his bike or something. And I wrote just welcome to Paisley Zone.
I love it.
First day, someone's in hospital because they got attacked, and I haven't really interacted much, of that on my mission. So I get close to Glasgow, and then I start filtering through.
Do you live in Saltcoats? Because we heard that's like the area that was pretty rough.
Where did we live? Actually, I got the address here. Where was it? I don't know. I can't remember the area. No, Saltcoats. No, I remember that now. That was
Further
we
up
weren't
the
living there. Yeah, because that's where you could see the Isle of Arran from across the sea, and we went there for a P day. Had to get a little ferry across, and they call it like the sleeping giant because the outline of the island looks like a man asleep. So it's pretty cool going across there. So what happened in Irvine? So we every Saturday would go to a member's called Brother Torrance. He'd order our food from a local cafe. We'd go pick it up and go around his and eat it. Like every Saturday without fail. That was a great time. So some people. We taught a lady called Mary, and she was about 84, 85 years old, and she was so funny. Like it was a great laugh go around there to teach her. She'd call me Mischief. That was her nickname for me. I get on with older women. Like I like to bit of banter with the old ladies, and so we got on pretty well. I like to tease her. She took it in good spirits, and she got baptized. So she got baptized like 84, 85 years old, which was fantastic. Teaching somebody of that age and making that decision. Just a sweet lady. And the sisters also had a baptism the same day, and she was I can't remember how old she was, but she was of a good age. So that was a really cool experience. There was a guy called John Taylor. He was a less active member. Heart of gold. Lived in a very dodgy area. And him and his dog, Kai, his dog would like to do a trick when he'd click his fingers, and the dog would just bounce up and down like non-stop until he told her to stop. So like to show off there. He'd come out with us all the time. He'd take us out on our P day and take us bowling in the town. He very rarely came to church, but always had time for us. He brought Elder Davison some new shoes one P day. Just a really lovely guy. I love John. He was my very last lesson on my mission. So as I was finishing up, went to see John, and that was the last day of my mission. When we went out for our honeymoon, we went to see John, Introduced Katie to John. Yeah, he's a great guy. Love John. We had a family in the ward, the Wilds family. So you had Jack Wild, who was the dad. Two of their sons were serving missions, or one just came home when we were there, and the other was still out. Wild by name, wild by nature. Those boys. There was two younger wild boys called Ben and David. At the time, maybe 16, 17 years old. And they'd come out with us teaching, which was great. So we had the car, we'd pick them up. And one day they get in the car and they've got these eggs and water bombs filled up. What are you doing? Don't worry about it. So we go and teach our lesson. Whoever that was with. Then after that, on the way back, they got the windows down, throwing eggs out of the car, water bombs out of the car at people just standing by on the street. And I remember there's one poor guy just standing there minding his own business. I was the driver. I did get into it at the end, so I was like slowing down, speeding up at the right times. And there's one guy standing there by the bus stop. They chucked this egg, smack bang, middle of the chest, just exploded on him. This egg. Oh, and I felt it was funny, but I felt bad afterwards. Probably wasn't the best thing to do with some young men, you know. And I think the last egg as well, they threw and they missed, as in they missed the window, and it smacked all in the car, and my suit was covered in egg. So I think that was my punishment. My suit was ruined after that, and so I just threw it away. So yeah, that was the Lord saying, you've had your fun, but now that's your punishment. So, yeah. Oh yes, I got a note here. The fun bus. So we had a minibus in Irvine that the ward rented out from like the local scout group, and every Sunday morning we'd go pick up investigators and less actives and members that couldn't drive. So Brother Wild would drive that, and we'd just dot around early and just picking people up. That's so good because it's easy to get to people to church then, because we had the fun bus that we could go pick people up, and it was a really rickety old bus, but it got us from A to B. That was really great. Helen Lewis, she was a wonderful old lady in the ward, and she'd always have us round for steak pies. She'd go to the local butchers and get these steak pies that about that big. We'd have one each, and we'd just sit there, eat these steak pies. And she was a good laugh. Again, we visited her on our honeymoon as well. She was a wonderful lady. Really enjoyed her. Spent time with her. Yeah, and I guess another person from the Beef branch, it was Brother Fagan. He was a less active member that we got to know quite well. Really nice guy, him and his mum. I think he started going back to church, but we were able to go spend time with him, just hang out with him and teach him again and work with his mum, who wasn't a member. And yeah, just a really good time with Brother Fagan. He used to be when they had stake missionaries. So he used to be really involved with missionaries. So he just loved having missionaries around. So he was a really friendly, really approachable guy. And also I had another companion there. So Elder Davison was there for 3 months. And then for my last 6 weeks was Logan Skidmore. He was from Kansas. I love Elder Skidmore. I wish I had more time with him. But yeah, just for my last 6 weeks, we got on really well, I think. Had a good time together. We got in contact afterwards, the mission, and we was speaking. And we're like, oh, why didn't we speak about this when we were together? Like, there's so many things we didn't get to speak about because we weren't together long enough. But yeah, I really enjoyed spending my time with Elder Skidmore. Yeah, and then I think that's about it. I think I'm out of stories now. Yeah, unless you want to ask anything else, I think that's me.
Yeah, so that was fantastic. I mean, that was a great tour of both Ireland and Scotland, which we appreciate.
Agreed.
We always ask, and you mentioned, of course, the Griffiths, but do you have any particular stories with them or anything you want to share? They were your mission presidents the whole time, correct?
Oh no, I forgot to say. So no, actually, for my last 3 months, the Browns then came in, who
Okay.
were
From
Alan
Glen
Brown
Roth's.
was Alan Brown was the brother of Sister Liston, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, so we had the Browns for 3 months. I think so. Interaction with President Griffiths. I remember we were just whenever we'd ask him a question, he'd always just say, "What does the White Handbook say? What does the White Handbook say?" He was very, I think he had that tricky task of combining the missions, those two cultures, and find their feet. So he was great for not adding on extra rules. He would just say, "Well, what's in the White Handbook? What does that say?" And I think that helped people just to get on, and like, so the cultures eventually kind of merged together because it was just a White Handbook mission. Like, The story was Irish missionaries are a bit relaxed. Scotland missionaries were very, very on it, like hammer time and all that was going around. So I think being a White Handbook mission was a nice in between the cultures, and I think that's what President Sister Griffiths done really well. Sister Griffiths made a really great taco soup. I remember that for like conferences. And I found the mission cookbook, which I never actually looked at really, and that recipe's in there. So you have to give that a whirl.
You guys had a cookbook? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Apparently, I found it in my box. The pages haven't really been thumbed because it's very, very clean and tidy. I never looked at it. But I just remember President Sister Griffiths just being very, very loving and very. When they'd teach us at like zone conferences and training, it would just be purely gospel related. They would just focus on the scriptures, on the teachings of the gospel. They had fun with it. I remember, I think someone mentioned it before in another podcast. They came in full fishing gear, like hat on, fishing rod, and like the wellies and everything. So they had fun with it as well. So, and then I remember when President Sister Brown came in, just a different vibe, like straight away. Like it was strange. Like, and I remember President Brown. He gave good hugs. That's what I remember. Like I say, I wasn't with him for very long, but he gave a good hug. And for my short time with him, I really enjoyed serving under him. Him and Sister Brown. And yeah, I've emailed him once or twice since as well, keeping in contact a little bit. Just a very, very loving couple. That's what I remember from the Browns. Very, very loving to the missionaries. Not saying that the Griffiths weren't, but because they were. But I just really remember that standing out from the Browns, 100%.
Yeah, if you've got contact with the Browns, send them our way to get on the podcast. I served in Glen Roth's for the last 9 months of my mission, so spent some time in their home and with their family, which was great. And we'd love to have them on if they're available. But
I'll shoot them an email at some point.
Perfect. That's great. We love referrals, as we say.
That's right.
Yeah. On referrals. So get Elder Ian Felton on. Also, there's another guy in my stake in Lowestoft Ward, where Ian's originally from. Chris Smithers. He served in the Scotland Island mission. He kind of crossed paths with me. He started in about 2011, I think. Kind of a year in. But yeah, all the companions that I've mentioned, I'd love to hear their experiences, and yeah, it's great to hear some of the other podcasts, like some more of the missionaries in my era are coming on now. So it's nice to hear people's experiences, because everyone has different experiences, but also similar experiences. So it's nice to hear. I'm loving the podcast. So thank you for all that you're doing. It brings back so many memories when I'm driving to work, listening to it. And back from work, just stick one of these podcasts on and just reminisce in my head when I hear other people. So I really appreciate you guys doing this. It's a wonderful thing that you're doing. So keep it up. Keep getting those people on.
Thank you, Joe.
We love to hear that. It brings the same to us. It's been cathartic in a way. It's therapeutic just to hear from others who have similar experience from a beautiful place. And as always, Joe, we want to tell you we love you as our brother in Scotland, and really appreciate you serving there, coming on the podcast, sharing your experience. Know that you've always got friends from that country who are still there, who served there before and after you. We love you.
Agree. And as you share this, Joe, as people react to it, send them our way. I mean, easiest way to find us is the website 51spylaw.com, which many of us know that address well enough to find it. But just like Ian did, go on there, fill out a contact form, we'll get in touch and schedule a time, or vice versa. Just call people out, be like, hey, you should just send Zach a message on Facebook like I did, and we'll get you on. That's as simple as that. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I will do. I'll definitely pass the message on to people that I know.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Joe. Hope you have a good night.
Cheerio,
Yeah,
brother. We'll
thank
talk
you.
to you soon then.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.